What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with the one and done preview for the AT&T Pebble Beach. If you're looking for a longer DFS related preview, I have that. I released it yesterday. Go check that out. This is more around the one and done pool that I'm in this year. So let's look back at how we did last week. If you remember, we were kind of floundering around towards the bottom of the standings with our 3 entries. No surprise, because we're kind of waiting for the second segment of the season to start before we really start burning our players. So for the most part this year, we've been throwing a lot of darts, hoping to get lucky. This was the first week we actually raked in some decent cash last week at the Waste Management. So we had Zach Johnson, Phil Mickelson, and Chesson Hadley across our entries. Mickelson and Hadley, I think it was a T5. I don't remember the exact place, but they each earned $242,000. By far our best performance yet. If you remember, probably back the first video, I said we'd love to average like $200,000 a week. Something like that would probably be pretty good. Without being in this pool before, other pools I've been in, 200,000 a week is usually pretty good. We got 242 this week. Obviously, we're gonna need to add some winners in there. We're gonna need to have a couple $1 million hits at some point, but we're just kind of throwing darts until we get down past the WGC Mexico Championship, and then this second segment is really where we're gonna burn through a lot of our big names. We've got 2 majors in here. We've got in this pool, I think it's the majors plus the players. I forget, but I should look that up. I'm pretty sure it's like the big 5 majors. But anyway, this is the segment that has all the largest prize pools. I believe that we can try to forge some momentum in the second leg. So that's where we're going to burn all of our guys. But until then, nice that we got a couple of $200,000 wins. We're going to continue with the same strategy. So we're going to find guys that we do not want to use in other tournaments, or we're okay with burning them this week at Pebble Beach. And we're just going to spread out 3 different picks and hope to, bang one of them. So where do we stand in this? So last week we were basically out of 1,700. I think we were like, our best lineup was in 1,400th and something. We've improved a bit. So our third lineup here is in 1,070th. Clearly a long way to go there. 1,518th is our worst one. That's really bad. That's almost dead last. And then we've got these 2 here, 1070 and 1090, kind of, trending upwards. So what are we going to do this week? A lot of interesting plays here. This is the cheat sheet for this week, and it's very, very top heavy. 5 guys at 11 to 1 or better to win this thing. DJ at 11 to 1 while those other guys are 10 to 1. Is that right? Well, I'm pulling it from a third-party source, so if it's wrong, blame them. But what I'm trying to show you here is this is a very top-heavy field, so there's plenty of chalk if you want it. Here's the one-and-done tool available on dfsondemand.com. If we choose Pebble Beach, you're going to see great chalk options here. Jordan Spieth has started twice, averaging $793,000. DJ, his course history is impeccable, averaging $582,000 over 6 starts. Rahm is in here. Day is in there. Value plays, which are guys I consider outside the top 20 in the official world golf rankings. They're the value plays. Woodland pops up thanks to, well, actually, it's not even thanks to his win last week. This is based on his 3 starts at Pebble Beach in the past, $87,000. Phil is on here. Here's the recent form, the hot hands down at the bottom. Some big names as you would expect. Woodland pops back up on that list. DJ's on here as well. So let's talk about what we're going to do. I'm looking for 3 players who I don't mind burning this week. So that removes all the chalk, right? That's going to remove every single one of these 5 guys at the top. I'll save Woodland. He won last week. I don't want to burn him here again. There's some value plays that I really like for DFS purposes, but I don't think we need to go that low for our one and done pool right now. If we had to pick 2 golfers every week, we'd go get someone real low. We actually will take one guy pretty low, but I think his price is wrong in DFS, but we'll talk about that. So the guys that I'm looking at this week and I'm going to roster, for the third week in a row, we're going to go back to Phil. So we have used Phil in 2 of our lineups. So that means we can only use him in this one. So Phil will be plugged into lineup number 3, which is currently our best lineup. And we will ride him out for a few reasons. So let's look at his course history here. He's averaging 75 DraftKings points per start. And here it is chronologically. 4 top 10s since 2010. And he's coming off of, right here, a 5th place last week. Digging a little deeper, if you want to look at the correlated stats for success on this course, birdie or better is a big one. Birdie or better is actually one of the largest correlators this week. And Phil is the first guy that pops up here that is not one of those studs that we're not going to touch. So since we already burned Phil in 2 lineups, and this is the time of year I want to use Phil, like this West Coast swing type of thing, I'm willing to burn him in my last one. Another name you see right here on top is Pat Perez. Pat Perez, big-time birdie maker. He's near the top of the list in strokes gained total as well, I believe. Yep, here he is. And also popped up on, SFDA, which is this strokes gained essentially against the field. It's a field differential. It's a per round stat. It's only Dustin Johnson and Jason Day who have better numbers there so far this year for Pat Perez. So if you remember back, Perez was really popular at the Tournament of Champions. And I think actually in this pool, so here's Pat Perez. Pat Perez is the 7th most used golfer this year already in this pool. So that means 19% or 20% of the field cannot use him this week. So we're going to take advantage of that and we're going to burn him happily. So Perez makes a lot of birdies. He's 30-1 to win this thing, which is well within what our range of what we're looking to burn. So Pat Perez fits the mold. He's got the stats. And he's got, 3 top 15s in the last 4 years here. So obviously something seems to be going right for him at Pebble Beach. Before I, disclose the last guy, I will just point out a couple of others if you're interested. Patrick Cantlay, I'm going to save him because I'm a long-term believer in this kid. But if you just look at, I know it's DraftKings points and we're looking for cash, but this is everyone in the field going back to the start of last year, so it's the start of 2016. He hasn't played as many events as a lot of guys, but he's played 3 less events than Jordan Spieth and has 5 less DraftKings points per tournament. When this guy tees it up, he's in contention. I really, really like him long term. I'm going to save him, but if you're in a position in your pool where you're willing to burn him, or you don't want to spend one of the top guys, but you don't want to save him or whatever, I think Cantlay is just fine here. And then who else might I be interested in? Hadley, again, if you didn't burn him last week, I think he's fine because, again, continues this great success. He's he popped up on all those key stats that we had this week as well. So I'd be fine with Hadley. I'd be fine with Snedeker. But there is one guy that we have rostered this year, but we're going to burn him in another lineup, and it's Austin Cook. So like him a lot for DFS, like him a lot more in DFS because of this, right? So here's all the Vegas odds. Let's sort by this. And you can see, obviously these guys are priced very highly, 25-1. These guys are expensive as well. Here's Austin Cook right here, 60-1, and it's only $7,000, where everyone else in this range and guys who are more expensive than him have worse odds. So I think that's a mispricing on DraftKings. So love him a lot for DFS purposes, but I also think he's a pretty good fit here for Pebble as well. So I think he's going to fly under the radar because he's never played here, but but great success in this swing season. And when I ran the correlation numbers for Pebble Beach going back 8 years, Austin Cook pops up a lot, right? So here's Austin Cook, like 8th best SFDA. That was one of the big correlating stats. Here he is. He's like basically top 10 in birdie or better. I think there was another one, stroke or a scoring average. Yeah, here he is, like basically top 6 or 7 in scoring average. These are all the correlating stats for Pebble Beach. He's kind of middle of the pack for strokes gained total, but he pops up on the other 3. We've used him before, I believe, in one lineup. Yeah, so we used him in 3, so we can't use him in 3 again, but that's the only one that we can use Phil in. So we'll plug Phil into this one. And then what I will do is I will use Pat Perez here in our second best lineup. Really like Pat Perez. And then I will use Austin Cook in our worst lineup. That's not an indictment on him. It's actually almost like I'm willing to burn this flyer who I think is really good value this week and hope he raises this lineup. But if he doesn't, we still have only burned Austin Cook and we can use him one more time in lineup number 2. So that's my thought process. Phil's handcuffed into one lineup. I want to give Pat Perez, who I think is my best option, in my next best lineup. And then we'll use Austin Cook in our worst one, but that's not because I don't like him. It's just because I'm kind of handcuffed into the rest of it. I'd want Pat Perez to be my best lineup. So there you go. Those are the 3 guys I'm playing. Love to hear who you're playing. So either tweet me, it's at DFS On Demand, or leave a comment below. Talk to you guys soon. Good luck.